Okay, so Shane here, daily-astrocat.com, and I've got the week for you. Ooh, haven't had that for a while, right? Yeah, it's been a little while. The week is where I actually do a lot of my writing and I get some cathartic stuff done. This week is going to be very, very special, so I suggest you stay till the very end. You're going to find out what our best days are, and you'll also find out our tip for living the lunar life. But let's get started, okay? Because today we've got a very Mars week. It's a very Mars week this week. So what does that mean? Neptune is going to be in Aries. It moves into Aries on Sunday. So that's a very interesting thing. But we also have some other things that are going on. These are our astrological oddities and events for March 30th through April 5th. You ready? Let's go. Here we have it. So what we're talking about here is the moon phase for the week. Now, the moon's waxing from being new in Aries, so that means it's growing in the sky, into Cancer, which is just perfect for this week's theme. You should have made your intentions, and now's the time to begin making good on them. Waxing moons are times for growth. If you were gardening, it's time to prepare the soil. Take care of your seedlings. Get that stuff in there, right? Get it ready for that second quarter. Because that second quarter is going to be on Friday. Now, these seedlings, I like to call idealings when we're dealing with astrology, right? Because we're not planting gardens all year round, but we are planting our ideas. So, the new and witch's moon, you know those little crescents that you see the brooms going across and stuff like that? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. The new and witch's moon crescents tribe, they can dance and sing together. The second half, folks, get the weekend to begin working on their actions. Everybody should plan on joining in. Working on actions is a good thing to do, right? All right, so Mars is very prominent and active this week. And instead of highlighting the bellicose potential of what Mars could do or anything like that, and let's face it, in Cancer, that's going to be pretty limited, right? Okay, let's tame that hair down for a second. We're going to begin to discuss how this week and weekend in particular are times to begin taking action. Now, if you're a longtime listener, you know I've been saying, slow down, slow down, slow down. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Now it's time changing the tune, right? Mercury is still retrograde until next week. So these actions are actually just testing the waters, right? That toe in the water just, is it? We never did that. Nope. Had our own ritual, right? Now, that is Mercury. That's a Mercury and Pisces thing, right? Okay, intuition, that's important still. Don't get lost and lose your focus. Kind of like I just did there. The moon is bookending the range of Mars influences this week. That's right, starting at Aries and going all the way to Cancer. How is this going to make you feel? Let's talk about that. So, if you know how it's going to make you feel, let's talk about a stellium in two signs. Oh, yeah. What do we got here? Oh, we've got Pisces and we've got Aries, right? We've got our Neptune in Aries over there. And then everybody else, Mercury, Venus, and Saturn, not to forget the North Node, are sitting over there in Pisces. Now, let's talk about this. We're going to dive deep and we're going to feel, right? The Pisces stellium, that's still here. Minus the sun. Now, up until this point of this week, we had the sun in this as well. There's a feeling here that we're on the right track. This is despite some obvious setbacks, right? Nothing's ever perfect, is it? No, it's not. The path forward may echo the past, but it never leads directly to the past. With both Mercury and Venus retrograde, there are lessons and setbacks that are here to help us refine, reshape, and improve our current offerings. With a nod to what has given us a degree of success in that past. The sun has left the current stellium and is now approaching the second decadent of Aries. All right? This is the point of the purest essence of Aries, really. This is the most extroverted, the most transparent, the most prone to get into the action or get in on the action, and the most childlike. Look, when outer planets change signs, like Neptune entering Aries, it isn't very lasting because the first time they do it, they're going to go in, test that water, and then go back. But it can really highlight a few of the trends and tendencies that we may be seeing. We saw that with Pluto, with the explosion of AI, when Pluto first entered into Aquarius and then backed out back into Cancer. And that brought us a whole bunch of stuff, and then it went back into Aquarius for good at the beginning of this year. Neptune gets, Neptune gets such a bad rap from most astrologers because, they ascribe it to the negative qualities of Pisces. Dreamy daydreamers who are addiction prone, overly attached in relationships, and basically melancholy, right? Empathetic, sensitive, caring, to their own fault. Now, Neptune in my cosmology, she's not really any of that. She, right? The sea god, sea goddess, is connected to the oceans in a way that we are protected within our mothers, suspended in liquid, free floating, and tethered by a single cord. A state that was very real, yet so elusive, none of us can remember this, right? The mystery that surrounds this is as mysterious as life itself. Neptune represents this point in our understanding and in our evolution. That's right. That what we cannot see, what we could wish deeply, a deep desire to see it, but it's mystery, right? We're not going to really break through to that and understand it. This is a great place to begin to imagine what many consider the higher octave of Venus. That would be Neptune. She is a mystery that is only revealed when you're not looking directly at her. Veiled in the mists of 1,000 religions, fables, and tales. At the core of all of this, however, is love. Now, I got a chart here for you, and this is going to show the time when Neptune actually enters into Aries. That's going to be on the 30th, which is Sunday, at about 8 o'clock in the morning. Already happened, right? Stuff doesn't change right away, does it? Never does. You start to get this dynamic working through it, and you start to feel these different things that are happening. My kids are talking about ditching a swimming program and joining a gym where they can all swim and they can all be part of it. And there's things that are offered within that gym membership that will be beneficial and replace about the same amount that they're paying right now. So that's a very interesting thing. That is a very active thing, right? And it also involves a pool. That's Mars in Aries, right? That's Neptune in Aries. Mars is the ruler of Aries. Neptune, Mars is in Cancer. Now we're talking, right? Now we're thinking about this stuff. Pretty cool line, right? Now, also, we're talking about art. I received an art gift, a very unexpected art gift, but it was very surprising and very, very cool. Yeah, that stuff is actually happening. You're going to start seeing different art that's going to grab your attention. You're going to hear different songs that are going to start speaking to you in a different way. It's a great time for innovation. We're going to dive into that a little bit now, because really what we're looking at when Neptune is here is we're looking at an ingress, right? That's when Neptune goes into Aries. That's called an ingress. When a planet enters a new sign, that's exactly what it's called. Words astrologers love, right? Neptune has entered Aries. What does it even mean? Just gave you a little bit of it, right? Neptune and Aries has specific traits, but these traits are considered generational and less specific, right? All those outer planets, think about it. Neptune, it's there for 16 years. So that's almost an entire generation. Even Saturn takes almost 30 years to go through all the signs, right? So you're talking, a couple of years for Saturn, right? 1 year for Jupiter. So 2 and a little bit more for Saturn. Jupiter, 1 year exactly, just about the whole time. The one passage around that one passage around the sun is 12 years. So you got 1 year per sign, right? Now, what do we got? Look, do we really want to look up what Neptune and Aries means as far as a generational influence? Not really, but let's look at some of the artists and people who were born with Neptune and Aries, and maybe we'll get some hints and directions, right? We got some writers, Rudyard Kipling, Laura Ingalls Wilder. They're both born after 1860, in the period in which Neptune was in Aries, right? Neptune entered Aries the last time in 1860. And this also includes Thornton Burgess and Beatrix Potter, right? In all these instances, these writers that I just cited there, they have a little element of nostalgia in there, right? Yeah, that's kind of interesting. That's what we associate with Pisces. And, by a logical extension, we can associate that to most of the water signs and also the ruler or co-ruler of one of the water signs, which would be Neptune. Now, who's the other ruler of Pisces? That would be Jupiter, okay? Now, let's think about this because we have Neptune, this planet we discovered. We're going to get to that. Now, look, even Ben Franklin was born with his Neptune in Aries. Neptune didn't even exist yet, so he had no idea. He was just tying a string to, a kite and getting lightning to go down it. All right? Now, let's talk about, when I began researching the list is overwhelmingly populated with writers, right? I saw Stephen Crane, W.E.B. Du Bois, H.G. Wells, futurist, science fiction, right? Human Condition. Now, as far as artists, I also found Henri Matisse, Piet Mondrian, and Wassily Kandinsky among the artists who created fine art. Now, think about that group, right? Impressionists. Impressionism started to rise in 1860, right? There's no words for what this means. You just have to look at their creative output, right? Kandinsky, abstract. Abstract before there was abstract. They had to go through Impressionism first, modernism, right? It's associated. In 1860, that Impressionist movement is associated with the beginning of modern art. Now, musically, 1860 through 1876, which is roughly when Neptune was in Aries then, marks the Romantic period, and it begins to usher in the Impressionist era musically. Wagner and Bruckner were both big, finished the Ring cycle, and professional sports, that's an Aries thing, right, were just beginning to be established. Somebody was like, oh, this could be entertaining. Okay, instead of bread and circuses, we've got baseball, apparently with these things called torpedo bats now. Okay, so at any rate, the telephone, that was also invented in 1860. Neptune was discovered in 1846, and Pisces is associated with a rise. That discovery is associated with a rise in spiritualism, seances, and phrenology, those lumps on your head. In 1860, Neptune passed into Aries as the American Civil War began. Now, look, the origins of this war, though myriad and internecine, they were steeped in the morality of the abolitionist movement for for a lot of it. Given the morality of this particular conflict, the Civil War, I'm very hesitant to use this as a possible course that Neptune and Aries could take in 2025 or 2026. It just looks that way. You have to look to the arts. Look at music. Look at literature. Look at the things that can go right when Neptune is in Pisces. Okay? Creativity. Break out the crystal ball and try to predict where those things are headed now. Or better yet, get a little gauge for that headwind. You'll see where it's starting to head, like the AI with Pluto, and then you'll know what direction it's going to head in and where you can point your ship, right? That's what we're trying to do. All right, so Neptune, and wherever we're going now, Neptune will be headed back there again, and it will join Saturn going into Aries in 2026, and that's going to be big, let me tell you. Now, let's take a look at some of the patterns early this week and the planetary dignities. We already mentioned the sun leaving the stellium in Aries, right? We talk about this stuff all the time. That ship, that's gone. That's sailed. The chart is from April 1st. And here's where we can see both the Sun and Venus are exalted. Mars and Mercury are in fall, and Mercury and Jupiter are in detriment. These dignities strengthen or weaken what the qualities of the planet are in that sign. Mars becomes more defense-minded. Mercury, less logical and more intuitive. Less focused and definitely more scattered. The Sun becomes more confident in Aries, and Venus becomes much more loving and creative in Pisces. Right? Let's go to the chart. We'll take a look at this chart right now. And basically, you can see where I circled the dignities. And then we have a couple of different patterns. And the patterns that we have on this chart are the stellium. There's Mercury, there's Venus, there's Saturn, there's Neptune, and there's the North Node. We also have a T-square, but that's got the midheaven in it. So that's more of an electional chart. Anytime you see the MC, the medium Celli, that is what we got, right? The medium Celli is that point. It's that midheaven point. It's the highest point in the chart. It's where the sun is at noon, basically, or where it would be at noon on that particular day. So in that whole half kite configuration and T-square configuration and Grand Cross configuration all include that. We have to go all the way down to the cradle where we don't have that particular aspect working because everybody's, sitting right pretty tightly clustered in Pisces. So we have Mars, the Moon, Neptune, and Pluto all in what is known as a cradle. Now, what is a cradle? Well, let's take a look. It's these yellow lines right here. There's 3 yellow lines that stretch from Pluto all the way down to Mars, right? So Mars, Pluto, Uranus, and the North Node. All there. All present. Cradles are where we're feeling comfortable. Now, I like to think of them as a shield, right? Because they kind of shield you from what's coming in from the bottom, but you're open in the top, right? So you're resting in the cradle down below, and those planets are carrying you along. But what's directly overhead is Black Moon Lilith, and that is desire, and that's going to rock your cradle, right? That's going to be the thing to get you moving, to get you going. That desire, what is forbidden? What is it that you want to do? What is it that drives you? That's something you really have to think about, because that's where we're really headed with this. Now, I assume since you're listening to this podcast, you are driven. And that's a good thing. We all like to have goals. We all need to have things to do. We all are looking for something, right? Whether it's love, romance, get through school, get out of school, go through the workday, survive the workday, look for a better position, a better thing to do with your time, a better calling, something that actually speaks to you and speaks to your soul deep inside. Now, let's talk about another thing that we've got going on here, and that is going to be how the week's going to end, because we're going to end with Mars in a whole bunch of aspects, and they're all going to happen within hours of each other on the same day, the 4th. Now, I told you before that the 4th is going to be a big day. I've been telling you throughout the podcast and everything that the 4th is going to be a big day. Let's just take a look at this and see what it is that we are going to be facing on the 4th. And it's going to start very simply with that 1st of April thing, because the 1st of April I want to talk about before we get into that whole Mars thing, because this is going to be a chance for us to really begin to do some revisions, right? We have an opportunity. We actually have 2 opportunities this week. Get into another one later. This isn't a through the week, counting down or counting up or anything like that. I just want to talk about what the major aspects are, the astrological oddities and occurrences, right? Now, on the 1st of April, something's shifting, like a vault door beginning to open. You can feel it. It's like those complex things you see in movies and stuff with the gears and everything and the levers pulling. They move and shift. Friday is going to find us ready to crack that door open, right? The whole week we're just like crack, 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 crack. Finally, Friday, it opens up. Okay, now it's going to find us ready to take our actions forward through that door. But isn't Mercury retrograde, Shane? Yeah, it is. But you know what? It's 4-4. This is a leap of faith. That portal just opened. That locked portal just opened. Mars is beckoning for you to step right through it. And step through it, you should and you would, because that is a portal that is I very rarely use the word destiny here, but you are being called to step through that door, to open that vault and step through and start manifesting what it is that your intentions that were set during that last eclipse, the new moon. Okay, so we got Mercury retrograde. We talked about that. Yeah, this is the day. This is the signal. I've been talking about this. By moving forward with our creative projects that we've been developing, we can introduce a change into both our income and our standard of living. What seems like home improvement projects are actually necessary stepping stones into our future. The future the way we envisioned it. We set intentions back on the last eclipse, and now we are compelled to move forward. Take a good look at the next 3 charts and tell me how they make you feel. Just see how they make you feel. Put it in the comments how they make you feel down below. Look at the time frame and how quickly this is going to happen, right? Or how slowly Uranus and Saturn move with regard to Mars. You're going to be able to look at those degree points, right? Timing is everything. Saturn's involved here, right? Be creative and use only your existing processes, because otherwise you're going to slow yourself down. You don't want to do that. Pick and choose, right? You're going to be picking and choosing. I tried changing mine up since February 28th, and I've had some fairly mixed results from that. So let's just be cognizant of what it is that we're doing and not change up our process too much, and make sure that we are delivering something that is both good and that people want to actually take part in. Here's our first chart. The first chart is actually Saturn and Uranus, both sextile. This is going to occur at 12:21 p.m., and that's going to happen on 4/4. Now, you'll notice that they're at 24 degrees, right about in 24:55, right? 24:55, 24:55. That's where they're at. Look where Mars is at, 24:50. Okay? Going to gain ground really quickly. So if we move from that and we move on, look, the timing here is such that the moon in Cancer, that's the moon now. Can go back to that chart and show it to you. You can see the moon sitting there in Cancer in her own sign. She will share this connection with Mars. She's going to actually pass by there on the next day. She's going to encourage this probing movement forward, right? This going through that vault, opening the vault, going through the door. Intuition is your key here, though, because we've got the moon in Cancer. We've got Mars in Cancer. We've got a stellium in Pisces. We've got Mercury and Venus back in Pisces. We're definitely going to be using our intuition. It's something that you got to be just not thinking about, but feeling. Don't listen to others who are telling you, if they're not doing the work, you can't listen to them. You got to let your work speak for itself. Just like I said about the Neptune and Aries folks, right? Their work spoke for itself. Those pieces that they produced are unbelievable. And what's going to be produced with this current crop, right? We won't know for a generation. But we do know what's coming around, right? Beginning of the modern era. Then those modern folks are going to take it even further. They're just going to run with it, right? Now, what you need to realize, though, is not what, what's unborn or what we can't, what's going to come in a generation. It's the validity of your work. What value do you bring to the table? And is it enough to get you where you envisioned, right? Or is it able to enable it? Don't answer that question in the here and now, however. Plan ahead. Make your roadmap. Monday is going to be a perfect time to do that if you haven't done it before. Uranus indicates the financial side of things. Saturn, the creative, and Mars will determine the action and direction that things will take. With Mercury in Pisces, and a strong Pisces stellium that includes the North Node, what I really want to look at right now are what the Sabian symbols are for those 3 points of both Saturn, Uranus, and Mars. So here's our second chart, and you can see this happens at 7:05. So at 7:05, Mars has actually moved up to 56, right? So it's actually 24:56. At 24:56 now, we have Uranus. Saturn's already moved to 24:57 minutes. So Saturn's moved a minute. Mars has moved almost 5 minutes in this time. That's segments of a degree, right? Of an arc. Those are segments of a single degree. Now, we're looking at this, and now this is Uranus and Mars, and they're sextile, right? So that's a helpful aspect. That's an aspect where Mars and Uranus can actually work together to bring something about, right? Change in financial fortunes, changes in actions that can result in that. Okay, let's go to our Sabian symbols, because the Sabian symbol for 25 Pisces, where we find Saturn, is the purging of the priesthood. It is a symbol of purification and preparation. We need to shake off the old, tired, and corrupted and complacent order that exists, and in turn, revitalize the spirit, the spiritual mission of the order. Pretty vague. Like it. Pisces, Mercury. It's a pretty heavy symbol for Saturn even, right? That whole purging of the priesthood, purification. We've done the work. We've done the planning, and we're working on the process. There's 2 things that are key here: our sense of timing and our ability to carefully navigate our way through the portals that open along the way, including this first one that we went through. Now, the symbol for 25 Taurus is a large public park. This is a place of public enjoyment. It is where money is spent on the public specifically. There is no economic or social barrier here. It's almost like your work is that public place that welcomes all. Whatever you're producing, right? It's established by you for the benefit of all. It is a place that would be called of collective enjoyment. And finally, here's our last chart. This is going to show the Mars Saturn trine. Very beneficial. You're not going to lose sight on it, because we've been laboring under this for months, right? For months. So we've been laboring under this, trying to move forward for at least the last 5 months. Finally, we're going to go through the last phase of this. This is the once, twice, thrice. All of the lessons that we've learned by waiting, by not putting our stuff out, by trying to time it right. Everything that we've learned, now we are actually released from Saturn, and we're going to be able to start moving forward as Mars gathers speed and then starts to enter the sign of Leo. And we'll do so on the 17th of this month, or the month of April. So we've got that to look forward to. Now, finally, and that's where we come to, is 25 degrees Cancer, where Mars is at. It's a willful man, and he's overshadowed by superior power. We've covered this one before, back when Mars was first exiting Cancer. This is a granting of divine power on the rising leader. Okay, he's overshadowed by a superior power with a shadow on one side. It's a lot of people interpret that as a mantle. It's a mantle of power that's given from higher up. This puts Mars in Cancer in a powerful place to begin asserting that willfulness into willpower. The willful man into willpower. You are worthy of this. You've persevered. And now it's time for you to take that mantle of power and step forward. Once the old ideas are stripped away in such a manner to prepare for the new order, we can state our intentions on building a place where all are welcome. The public will provide the funds for it in both direct and indirect ways. Increased traffic and awareness is essential for the park to be well kept. This is not cause and effect, but a continuously looping and interconnected thread. So it doesn't run from Saturn to Uranus to Mars. It's everywhere at once and all at the same time, because the past becomes the present and the future, just like that. You saw how close those times were situated, right? Very good. We come almost to the end of this, living the lunar life. From the new moon in Aries all the way to the end of the week, this is the path that Mars has considered, is on, and has to maintain. We've been thinking about this. We're on it, and now we're going to have to maintain it. We're going to have to go through that portal. The sun is yet to weigh in on all of this. But with Mars in Cancer, the sun is sure to throw his lot behind Mars, especially since Mars is going to be in the sun sign of Leo on April 17th. The sun is at 15 degrees of Aries on Friday, the same time on the 4th, right? Now that Sabian symbol is an Indian weaving a ceremonial blanket. Okay, ceremonial blankets. Think about it. Is this the mantle? Is this the mantle on the willful leader? Is this made by the hands of an earthly craftsperson and subsequently imbued with celestial power? Made by us, imbued by us, and then donned by us to take our stuff forward? It's an interesting thought, right? It could be. Believe in yourself and you got it made, right? Let's talk about some best days. The best day for creativity is definitely Monday. There is an absolute lack of any aspects on that day. There's no lunar, no solar, no nothing, right? It's just a day of catching up. It's a Taurus-focused moon. So when we have nothing happening on a day, that allows us to focus on the moon's energy on what it is that we're doing, right? What's the best thing you can do in Taurus? Is it love life? Is it loving love? Or is it actually just setting to it and getting your plan in order and really going through it in a methodical way? Remember that eclipse is going to take us through to Virgo. So have those maps made and have them be precise, okay? The best day for love this week is Saturday. Venus and Mars, they're trine. They started. The moon's going to visit Venus, and that can lead to some deep romantic feelings. It's going to be very, very interesting. And she's actually going to visit Mars the next day, right? She's already visited Venus. Don't know what I did with that. That's kind of one of those tired things, or maybe looked at an older chart, right? Now, the best day for health is Wednesday. Keep doing what you're doing and get everything back on track. And that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for putting up with me. Really appreciate it. Took me a while to get back here, but I'm very happy to be here. Please take the time to like this video and smash that subscribe button. I really like that. Show me some love. Make Daily AstroCat part of your daily routine. That's why it's daily, right? The podcast is on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much. I do want you to do all those nice things for me. Have a great week, and I'll be seeing you on the dailies. Happy astrocatting.